The poor and the middle class think most things are expensive. The reason is you are spending money that you earned by trading your precious time for those dollars. So in a way, it feels like you are exchanging your life for that thing you want to buy, and that's why it feels expensive. Now, I got that phrasing from Myron Golden. He's an awesome guy to follow. I've taught series and lessons and teachings on this same topic, but I just like the way he put it. I saw his video yesterday, and it just re-inspired me to talk about this again. If you remember, if you scroll back in the podcasts and the YouTubes, I've got a little series called Escaping the Middle Class Mindset. And it's absolutely powerful. God did not make any of you middle class. We were made in His likeness and His image. I'm telling you what, there's nothing average about that guy. All right, that means there's nothing average about you. There's nothing middle class about you. There's nothing poor or poverty about you. You are made first class. You are God's highest form of creation. He made nothing higher than you. That's how special you guys are. So my goal is to get you out of the middle class mentality, the middle class mindset trap, because it's actually super dangerous. Because the middle class mindset is almost undetectable, because a lot of it feels good, feels right, feels good enough that you are no longer in the pain of poverty, so you don't go anywhere. You stay there. You're happy, you got your little 4-bedroom house, you got your boat, you got your 401k, and then when you retire when you're 68, you should have enough to live comfortably at the end. And that's the dream, that's the goal, that's as high as you ever rise, not knowing there was 5, 10, 15 levels higher than that you could have gone, but you were stuck in the middle class mindset mentality, stuck in the trap, didn't even realize it. That's what that series is about. Go check it out. I think we're going to expand on that because I get fired up every time I talk about it. I feel like God's doing something in me. I want to really help you guys with that. So go watch the series and subscribe because I got some new ones coming out. I'm going to be teaching on that. But back to what Myron said, because you need to understand this and get this, because this is what's changed my life. And it was obviously been impactful, but it was more impactful than I even realized as I began to dissect this. So let me give you some examples, right? So the poor and the middle class, they think so many things are expensive because to them it is. They're trading their finite time for finite finances. All right? So poor and middle class, you are trading your finite time in exchange for finite finances. That's not a great way to do things. It might be the only way you know, but you can just know something else and do that. How about that? Just keep hanging out with me. I will show you tons of ways to do that. I got a whole program called Kingdom Money Mastery. I got a program called Passive Income Engines. There's links in the description to check those things out. It will change all this for you. You can earn money like the wealthy. We recently had somebody over to our house, and we had them over for dinner, my wife and I. And we were talking, they were catching up, old friend of the family kind of thing, and she was asking about what I do. And I brought up that, well, I teach Christian money mindset. I teach you how to have an increase life instead of a decrease life. I teach you how to increase your way out of debt instead of decrease your way out of debt. Yada, yada. You guys know my spiel. Well, this definitely caught her attention, and she's very interested. Well, what happened was, throughout the course of the night, without realizing it, 3 or 4 times, she talked about how she wanted this, but it was so pricey. She wanted that, but obviously that'd be so expensive. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It just cost so much. And this woman's a Christian. This woman's loves God. She's actually been in full-time ministry for 40-something years. I mean, phenomenal story. But I noticed all of these limited money mindsets. And I didn't even have to point them out. Once I told her what I did, it was like she now became hyper aware of what she was saying. And it was interesting because the next night we were actually at an event and she was there as well. And she sat at our table there. And so we actually had 2 nights of conversation with her. And she realized all of a sudden how much she talks about how expensive things are. It was just coming up. It was just coming out of her. Oh man, this is beautiful. Man, this must have been so expensive to do. Oh, that must have cost a fortune. I bet that cost an arm and a leg. Oh, that would be nice, but man, that probably cost a lot. She didn't realize until she had dinner with us that she talks like that a lot, thinks like that a lot. A lot of her mind, a lot of her thinking time is around money. But it's just around how expensive things are and how limited she is. Do you do that? Is that something to think about? If you guys are watching this, a great thing to do is get with a friend or a spouse and check each other on this. You know, we actually mention a lot. Hey, Trav, that's actually interesting. Just so you're aware, 3 times today you said, man, that thing was expensive. Man, that cost a lot. Whoa, can you believe how much that cost? I remember one time I took my wife to a 5-star, very fancy hotel, and in the morning we had breakfast there at the hotel, and it was next level. It was awesome, guys. Like, it was like, yeah, that's what's up. And the Lord spoke something interesting to me. He said this. I'm telling you, this is crazy, and I failed the test. So just so y'all know, I got the bill. I had no clue what it was going to cost, but I assumed it would be pretty pricey, as some would say. And he said, when you see the bill, don't say anything. I opened it, I saw the bill, and I said this, ugh. I didn't say any words, but I said, ugh. And I knew as soon as I said that, I failed the test. I disobeyed. Because that noise includes don't say something. That's all packaged in. I shouldn't have said the noise. And then he said something very clear to me. This is interesting. He said, Travis, you need to mature in your spending. The way I took that was, hey, it's just money. It always comes. You've got the power to make wealth. You need to mature in your spending. That's so powerful. That was a milestone moment. For those of you watching this who are trying to level up in your money mindset, it's things like this. I remember going to Six Flags amusement park. And this was before I was married. So this was probably 15 years ago, maybe 16 years ago. I went with a group of friends to Six Flags. We drove from Tulsa down to Dallas area and went to Six Flags. And, you know, so that made me in my early 20s, 22, something like that, 23. And we were in line at one of the restaurants. Place was packed. I mean, just thousands of people everywhere. It was a nice, hot summer day, and we were all in one of the restaurants. And it was each line, there's probably 4 or 5 lines, and it was like 15 people deep. Getting closer, and classic, right? I look up at the menu. I see the inflated prices. For a meal, it was, I don't know, 15 or 20 bucks. And I just go, golly, 20 bucks for that meal? And I said it pretty loud. And everyone around me was like, yeah, oh my goodness. And we're all Christians from church going down here, right? And we all started talking about how expensive it was. Except for one of my friends. One of my friends privately pulled me aside and said, hey, Trav, look around. Look at all these people. They're not necessarily Christians. And we can hear the conversations because there's people around us, and none of them are complaining about how expensive this is. I don't know if that makes God look good, you complaining about prices here. And I was just like, oh. And this was before I was really like into the faith and finances stuff. I mean, I was like getting there, kind of, but this was like an early on milestone moment for me. Do you need to make that adjustment too? I made that adjustment right then and never talked like that again. My family, my kids have never heard anything. They've never heard the phrase, that's expensive. That's too expensive. That's too much. My kids don't know these limits and lids and man-made things that we've made up. They just know the unlimited provision of God because that's all I really talk about. It's all I show them about. That's what they expect now. This is different than the poor and the middle class mentality. Not only am I trying to think like a wealthy person, but I'm trying to think you like a financial covenant, blessing covenant wealthy person. All right. Back to the story, or back to what I was teaching here. Here's how the poor and middle class think about money. It's why everything seems so expensive. It's extra painful to spend money because you had to work 25 hours to make that money, and then it's gone like that. So I get it. It's expensive and it's extra painful. And this right here, in a way, it determines your decisions. This is the stuff I talk about in Kingdom Money Mastery, or those of you who've been through the Increased Mindset Challenge. Please go through that stuff if you haven't. It will change your entire perspective on money and life in general. Oh, it's helped thousands, I think 10,000 something people at this point. Please go through it. Links in the description. It'll help you. But this is going to determine your decisions. So it's all kinds of things, guys. I have another video called Death by 1,000 Poverty Paper Cuts. Go check it out. All kinds of lack decisions, because that's what you're doing now is you're making decisions from a place of scarcity and lack. Because now you're going back to, I've only got finite time to trade for finite finances. So if I go to a restaurant, I'm a steak guy. Man, steak is my favorite. You go to the restaurant, finally you take your spouse out on a date, which you've been putting off for because you're just calculating the cost of a babysitter plus the restaurant. You might even pick a lesser restaurant. It's not your favorite. Here's my favorite restaurant. We haven't gone on a date in 3 months. Finally, we got a babysitter. I could justify the cost of the babysitter. But now I'm thinking if I go to the babysitter plus the restaurant I really want, we'll probably be spending $300 to $350. And that's a whole week's worth of pay. That's a whole time. That's not worth it. I don't get it. No. See how it's making your decisions for you? See, for me, I think, yeah, I'm getting a babysitter. Yeah, we're going to the best place, and I'm getting the steak I want. Then you get to the restaurant, and you don't pick the steak, you pick the chicken. Because you look at the price, and you shop based off what's the cheaper of the two. And you're trying to tell me you're a Christian, and money doesn't control you. Remember Matthew 6:24? You can't serve God and mammon? Most of you guys are serving mammon all over the place, and you don't even realize it. How do you know you're serving mammon? You go and you ask your bank account how much money to put in the offering. Hey, bank account, how much could I put in the offering today without it hurting me and without it like really feeling it? Or you go to God and say, hey, God, how much should I put in the offering today? What's my part to play here? What seed would you have me sow? Who you asking? Hey, bank account, which restaurant should I take my wife to? Hey, bank account, what should I order on the menu? Hey, bank account, should I put my kid in public school or private school? Instead of, hey, God, where do you want me to send my kids this year? These are your kids too. Their education matters. Their environment matters. Where do you want them to be, sir? Do you seek God like that? Do you pray like that? Do you ask those questions? This stuff matters. It determines your decisions. You guys are letting money determine your decisions all over the place. You don't even know it. Go watch my video, Death by 1,000 Poverty Paper Cuts. Okay? Now, let's go to the flip side. Here's how the wealthy think. Here's how the blessing covenant people think. If I want something, here's kind of the little formula, and I'll expound on it. I decide what I want. I seek the Lord. I get my instructions. and I deploy my strategy. Decide, seek, deploy. I'll break this down. Decide. This is Job 22, 28. I'm going to grab a Bible and read it directly for you guys. It says, you will succeed in whatever you choose to do, and light will shine on the road ahead of you. Another translation says, you decide and you declare what you want to do, and it will be done. So you decide. Seek. This is Matthew 6:33. And it says, seek first the kingdom of God, his way of doing things, this is the Amplified, and his way of being right. So this is where I get my strategy. It says his way of doing things. And then deploy, we got to go take action. What is that? Is that James 2:14? There's a couple scriptures in James that kind of speak to this. Let's read it real quick together. Yeah, James 2:14 through 17. And it basically is the one where it talks about how faith without actions means nothing. So you got to take action. So we'll do James 2:17. All right. Another one, Proverbs 10:24 would go with this too. It says, the hand of the diligent maketh rich. So diligent, constant in effort, right? Decide what you want, seek, get your instructions, then deploy. Decide, seek, deploy. This is how I do things. Now, let me show you the difference. The poor and middle class, they trade their time for dollars. They trade their life for dollars. What the wealthy do is we choose, and look, I'm not saying you be wealthy first, then do this. I'm saying you do it now and become wealthy. Because I got to give you the right way to think, because the right way to think determines your results. So I can show you, give you insight to how we're thinking about things. You can just copy us and you'll get the results too. So the way we think is, I'm going to pay for something out of my creativity. Again, Myron Golden is how I got this verbiage. And he, like I said, he put it very out of my creativity. So you guys remember Deuteronomy 8:18. Earnestly remember your God, for it is he who gives you the power to make wealth. Different translations put it power to make wealth. Some say the ability. Some say make. Some say get. Some say create wealth. So what you can do is you can take your YouVersion Bible app, pull up this scripture, highlight it, and then hit the word compare and pull up a bunch of different translations, and you can get this full picture that God has given you the power and the ability to make, get, and create wealth. It just says, just don't forget him. Just give him the credit. Don't think you did it under your own strength and you'll be good. It really wipes out the whole poverty myth about, if we get rich, we're going to become sinners and forget God and all this stuff. And you just read Deuteronomy 8:17 and then 18, and it just tells you what to do. It's like, yeah, I gave you the power and ability to get wealth. Just remember it was me and not you. Oh. It's easy, guys. It's simple. Okay. So, real life example. I wanted it's about a year ago. It was time for me to upgrade my car. I had my previous car for too long. I'll put it that way. Well, I wanted me a Mercedes-Benz CLS. I decided that's what I wanted. So then I went and sought the Lord. Okay, Lord, here's what I want. What's my strategy? This car right here, it'll cost about $1,000 a month. He gave me the strategy. The strategy was invest into one of the passive income engines, the DeFi investments that we teach over in the Passive Income Engines channel. He said, put $3,500 into this investment and it will pay your monthly bill. So I went and deployed that. So I went and I invested $3,500. We now teach a passive income portfolio strategy. But I put $3,500 into my passive income portfolio. It ends up paying me, I think it's about $1,050 a month on that. Give you a little gas money, a little bit extra. But all I did is I just created, remember this? I used my ability to create wealth. Out of my creativity, I paid for this thing. That's what gives the wealthy mindset person the advantage. When you know how to get money to flow into your life, money isn't as precious. For those of you on my email list, you saw this email I sent out recently about, have you made money too precious? That's what I'm talking about. Money is important, and I'm not careless with money. I'm not stupid with money. I'm a good steward of money. But if I lost it, if I got into an investment and the investment didn't work out, I'm not devastated, discouraged, deflated. It's the end of the world. No. Let's go create some more. Let's adjust our strategy and let's try again. I know people who have launched a business, an online business, an Amazon business, and they had to invest $1,500 to buy these products and to buy this course, and it ended up not working out. And they just give up completely. I told you guys I wasn't an entrepreneur. I knew it. I'm out. I'm going back to my day job. I was a fool for even trying this. Sorry, God, I wasted your money. No, you just listen to the devil talk you out of stuff. What are you doing? You got to be diligent. We don't give up. We don't quit. We keep going. That's a whole nother lesson. All right, let me give you another example. Years and years ago, probably 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago, something like that, my monthly bills was $3,400 a month. That included everything, guys. All right. Including, I had a house. So it was including a mortgage. I was married, and I think we had one kid at the time. That was great, right? Like, I wish it was still that low. $3,400 a month. Well, I wanted to pay for these bills, and I had this concept of I wanted to make my life free. This is what we teach in Passive Income Engines. We just have a different strategy for it. We show you how to do this using investments. Now, here's what I did. I launched a monthly membership site that was $29 a month. And it was called Escape Your Day Job. I was showing people, I was teaching a skill I had acquired, was not born with, a skill that I acquired on how to make money using a simple online business. All right? So I'm going to teach you how to do it too for just $29 a month. That was the premise. So I just did some reverse engineering. And I said, how could I cover all my bills using this avenue? Go back up to my 3 steps. Decide what you want. I want to get enough members to cover all my bills. I did the math. I needed 120 members. All right, so there's my decision. I want 120 members. And that would pay me $3,500 a month. A little bit of buffer. Seeking God. All right, Lord, here's what I want. What's my strategy? And then I went and deployed. So I needed 120 members. That would equal roughly $3,500 a month. And then my plan was I went to all my bills and then I turned all of them onto auto pay. And so I just had a bank account that money went into, and then that went up to pay my bills. And it just created this loop where the membership paid for my life, all on auto pay, and I didn't have to think about it. I got financially free using this simple strategy. Kind of simple, right? So, what did I do to get those 120 members? Well, I went and I tried all kinds of stuff. I was diligent. The hand of the diligent maketh rich. Proverbs 10:4. Man, I did $1 trials. I did $7 trials. I did a week trial. I did a 30-day trial. I did big bundle packages. I offered a consulting call. I did all kinds of things until I remember I had this little tally mark thing, and I was just was just doing this as the sales would come in, and then the next day I would try a different offer, roll that out, and I'd get 2 sales. And okay, that one didn't work too well. And then I'd do another offer. I'm going to add this in. I'm going to do a 30-day trial. And then, oh, okay, cool. I got a whole bunch of trials. How many of them are going to roll over? Going to have to wait and see, yada, yada. But in a relatively short period of time, I did it. I got there. Can you see how completely and wildly different this is a different way, completely wild and different it is from how the poor and the middle class think about making money. So the poor and middle class are basically like, hey, someone please give me a job. Please employ me. Please. I'm begging you for a job. And then the middle class, that might be more like, okay, I can get a job. I got these skill sets. I got these college degrees. I got this resume. Okay, cool. I'm going to get this job, and then I'm going to work my way up to management, and then to supervisor, and then to XYZ. I'm going to work my way up over the next 20, 30, 40 years. It's going to be great. Going to get a pension. Cool, cool, cool. Still missing kids' soccer games. I'm still working, 50, 60 hours a week. I'm missing church, and I can't do all the stuff I want to do, but at least I got this nice, cushy job. This is this is cool. But the wealthy mindset says, how can I create? How can I create wealth? And this goes back to our biblical covenant that God made with our great-grandfather Abraham. Galatians 3:29 says, the promises he made to Abraham now belong to you if you are in Christ. Which I believe most of you watching this are. If not, you can make Jesus the Lord of your life, ask him to come into your heart, and then all of these benefits and perks will also belong to you. Now, let me give you one more. Again, years and years ago, we were having our second kid, and we needed to upgrade our vehicle and get something bigger and nicer and more reliable. So my wife and I set our sights on the Infiniti QX80 SUV. And I don't know if y'all are SUV fans out there, but this is one of the nicest ones they make. It's luxurious. It's like driving in a cloud. It's phenomenal. Okay? Huge fans. It was going to cost, I had this idea. I was like, why don't we lease this one? It was going to be $700 a month. We went and test drove it. We liked it. $700 a month lease for this vehicle. Okay. So go back to our 3-step formula. Decide what you want. Seek God. Get your strategy. Deploy. So I made my decision. Now I went to seek God. And he gave me this idea. I went to a former employer of mine, and I had done marketing for them in the past. So I called him up and said, hey, I got a proposition for you. And I said, what if I put together these social media marketing campaigns? I'll run it all. In exchange, you pay my lease on this new car I want. Told him it's $700 a month. He was like, dude, fire it up. Let's go. Let me see the car. Bring it over. Let's do it. Great idea. Sought him and deployed. All right. I just exchanged a skill set I had for the car. Do you see how different? You might be reading this and be like, Travis, a $700 a month payment? You might come up here to the Mercedes. $1,000 a month payment? Dude, that's so expensive. You're crazy. Well, you only think that because the only way you've made money in the past is like the poor and the middle class, by trading finite time for finite finances. That's why you see things as expensive and extra painful. I don't think my kids have ever heard me say something was expensive, because that term is relative. It's expensive for the person who trades finite time for finite finances. Yes, it is not expensive for the person who goes and creates something to exchange for finances. See, when I go and I create something to exchange, that's all we're doing here, guys, is we are exchanging or circulating money. You just haven't learned how to exchange and circulate money into your life yet, other than through a day job. So all we're doing is we are creating In our program, we call it Increase Avenues. This is all you need to do. Just create an increase avenue. And what that does is that makes money less painful to you. So again, back to my example. Some of the investments that we've gotten into have not panned out. There's been some where the companies have folded and we lost money, several $1,000s. There was one I lost, I think it was like $12,000 or $13,000. Yeah, it was a bummer, but I'm not devastated because I know how to create. I'm going to take an idea. That's all we're doing, guys. We are exchanging ideas for dollars. That's way different. I remember one time, this was, again, probably 8 to 10 years ago, and I was going to create a new course for the people on my email list. And what I did was I pre-sold it. So I hadn't made it yet, but I wanted to gauge how many people were actually interested. So I pre-sold the idea and I said, hey, here's what I'm looking to create. If this is something you want, you can purchase it now before, and it'll be a super discounted price. I'm going to sell it for up here, but if you hop in now, it's just this much right here. And at the time, it was just an idea. But what I did is I pre-sold it. And I remember it worked well. And that money came in, and I showed my wife, and I said, I literally traded an idea for lots and lots of dollars. And then I went and made it and gave it to everybody. They loved it. Okay? But do you see the difference? Please understand this. This is how the wealthy think. Hey, I want a free car. God, give me a strategy for a free car. He'll probably say, go start a business. He'll probably say, go do this, go do that. Go knock on this guy's door, call this person, take this person to lunch. He'll give you an idea. But then you got to go deploy it. Decide what you want, seek your instructions, deploy. Learn to exchange your ideas for dollars. Learn to exchange how to create wealth into your life out of your creativity. I use my creativity to get the cars and the houses and the different things. Use your creativity. I could keep going. I could keep preaching. I hope this helped you guys. If you want to learn more about this, and we got details lined out in Kingdom Money Mastery on how to do this. We got passive income engines. We got all kinds of things to help you get free financially so you can focus on what God has called you to do. That's my heart. That's the heart that behind everything I do and create. It's why I've created hundreds and hundreds of videos and all these lessons and courses and all these different things, is I'm just trying to help you win. I love you guys. If this has blessed you, please hit that like button. Please subscribe for more like this because I got new stuff coming out all the time. I got links in the description. If you want me and my team's help to go further, faster on these things, you can check out those links and we'll get you there. I love you. I'll see you in the next one.